Okay, so now we're learning to verify identities, which means you take something like this, which you think is an identity, and you plug a number into it and see what happens. In this case, the number is 60 degrees, so what we are checking is if tan 60 degrees is the same as the sine of 60 divided by the cosine of 60. So if we have a 60-degree angle, there we go. This is a special triangle which we're familiar with, which has the sides root 3, 2, and 1. So with that in SOHCAHTOA, we can find any trig ratios we need here. Tan is opposite over adjacent, so the tangent of 60 would be root 3 over 1, which of course is just root 3. Let's see if the right side comes out the same way. The sine of 60 is opposite over hypotenuse, which is root 3 over 2. The cosine of 60 is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's 1 over 2. Now, if we write that as, this is a division right now, it's a fraction divided by another fraction. If we rewrite that, we can put it as the first fraction times the reciprocal of the second fraction. And look what happens. The 2's cancel out, and we get root 3 over 1 again. So the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. That doesn't guarantee that this is an identity, because an identity has to be right for every possible value of x. But at least now we can say we tried this for one value of x and it worked. So is this an identity? Well, maybe. It's working so far. Here we have a more complicated one, tan squared x plus 1, secant squared x, and they're talking about pi by 6. So let's get our triangle built again. A reference angle of pi by 6, there we go, means root 3, 2 on the hypotenuse, 1 on the opposite. So on the left side, we have tan squared of pi by 6 plus 1. The tangent here is opposite over adjacent, so it's 1 over root 3. That's tan pi by 6. We have to square it, and when we're done, we have to add 1. 1 squared is 1. Root 3 squared is plain old 3. Plus 1. That's 1/3 plus 3 over 3 to get our common denominator. The total on the left is 4/3. Now let's do the right-hand side and see if the same thing happens. We're doing secant squared of pi by 6. Now, secant gives me a headache. Let's switch this to something more familiar. Secant is 1 over cosine, so what we're doing here really is 1 over cosine squared pi by 6. That's an improvement. Because now the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's root 3 over 2. And we got root 3 over 2, and don't forget to square it. When we square it, we get root 3 squared is 3, 2 squared is 4, and 1 divided by 3 over 4 comes out to 1 times 4 over 3, and look at that, it matches again. Left-hand side equals right-hand side, so is this an identity? Well, maybe. If you ever get these numbers not matching, if you get 4/3 equals 6 or something like that, it means that this has failed. It definitely is not an identity because you found a value for which the two sides do not match. But if they do match, you can say, yep, so far this thing is working. It may be an identity. And in the next parts of the lesson, we'll show you how to confirm it's an identity by actually solving it algebraically.